What's going on, Colts Nation? So, Colts lose again. Not to be surprised at all about the way that this team plays against AFC South opponents. They lose again. It is now the fifth straight game in a row that the Colts have lost to the Tennessee Titans. Uh, Mike Vrabel has won 6 of the last 7 games against the Indianapolis Colts. Uh, Cody, I mean, what more can you freaking say at this point? Like, I mean, this team is so pathetic to watch, especially offensively. I mean, and I hate saying that because, there were a couple guys offensively that actually did their jobs today. But again, this team comes in unprepared, unable to play, and they just lose because they're unprepared to do anything that's necessary to win.
Where do you begin? I mean, this team gives us like some glimmer of hope that they might have figured things out on offense. Then they come out and lay this egg where they score 10 points in total. 1 touchdown in this game. Ironic, I'm wearing this touchdown shirt because that's all the Colts did do today. They scored 1 touchdown, 1 field goal. Just an utter pitiful performance from this offense. Now the Colts fall 1-3-1 in the division. Clearly not good enough. The Colts' chances now are very, very minor to make the postseason. I think somewhere around 20% now, in the 20s, for the Colts to win. And Derek, I said this. I don't know if I said this in our pod or if I said this, on the other pod. I think I might have said it in the preview. This was the biggest game of Frank Reich's career, and how poetic justice it is that the offense finishes with whimper, and that just ends. I mean, I think possibility that Reich is here after this season. I mean, you just cannot continue to do this offensively. You just can't. Through 7 weeks, you can't continue to just be outright terrible on offense. Like, it's pathetic, man. You're right. This offense is absolutely pathetic. And the dumb thing is, Derek, like you talked about, there's guys who really didn't play rough. Paris Campbell had a really nice game. Jonathan Taylor, when he was on the field, he had, really good averages. But the thing is, this team just can't consistently put it together offensively. And it's to the point now where, they've screwed themselves over so many times. How many times are we going to hear Frank Reich say, "I was outcoached" before something is done? How many times are we going to have the defense do their job and the offense completely fail them time and time again until this offensive mastermind is out the door? I'm done with him. I'm so sick and tired of him. I thought maybe he was learning some things. I thought maybe this team was on track. I was fooled by last week's performance. That was clearly the outlier. This offense is clearly the worst in football, if not the worst, one of the worst in football. And, you can say what you want about personnel, but the Colts offense showed that they can put things up when they want to, right? But what do we continue to see? This team failing to execute when it matters, the play calling, the personnel decisions, all these things just horrendous every single week. It's like Frank Reich looks at what the Colts do well, the players that did well, and he just decides not to target them or not to get them involved. I think the weird thing is it feels like the Colts sabotage themselves more often than not. It's not like teams are beating the Colts. It's like the Colts are beating themselves. And that for me is it's a head coach thing. We've said it before on this podcast this year. It's a head coach thing. And the fact that you're only able to put up 10 points against one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL is just pathetic, Derek. It's just purely pathetic. And the fact that Jonathan Taylor only got 10 carries in this game is even more pathetic because he was actually running the ball very effectively today. It's just a culmination of all these things. I mean, I don't see any reason. Frank Reich has just continued when it mattered this year offensively. The offense has failed for the majority of the time. And I don't know how in the world this team is only have 3 losses this year. I mean, really, it's the defense and mainly the special teams, even though they were pretty bad today as well on the punting department. You know what? If the defense was any worse than they were, if the special teams had days like they did more often, I mean, this team would maybe have 1, 2 wins at the most.
No, they probably have no wins. They probably
maybe
have
even
no
wins. So it just goes to show you how bad the offense is. It's ironic, Derek, when Frank Reich talks all the time about, having all 3 phases, when one of the phases is clearly not even remotely on the same level as the other 2 phases the majority of the time. And I think it's just really, really detrimental to him as a head coach because he could maybe scapegoat the defense if it was the defense's issue. But it's not the defense's issue anymore. It's an offensive issue. And that's what they brought him in to do, to have a really good offense.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of the year with Andrew Luck, Derek, you really look at Frank Reich in totality as a coach, his offenses haven't really been that great, all things considered. And it continues here in this week. So, yeah, Colts again, 2 years in a row, swept by the Titans. We know how mad Jim Irsay has to be right now because we know how much he wants the Colts to win this rivalry. But let's be honest, Derek, with Frank Reich at the helm, the Colts have no chance at winning the division anytime soon.
Yeah, I just think that's true because at the end of the day, I mean, Vrabel has been out coaching Reich every single time.
And he admits it. He admits it every single time.
Admits it flat out. I mean, I even said that on Twitter and everyone's like, well, he said the correct answer. I mean, why are you giving him shit about it? Well, I mean, you're not supposed to admit you're getting out coached every time that you play. Like, and the fact that you are saying it and not just saying it once, but saying it several times every single year, again, just reminds people you're not doing your job well. If you're continuously getting out coached, then that means you're not doing your job very well and you need to be gone. He's saying it flat out to everyone. There is not a single reason to keep him around after a while. I mean, at this point, I don't even know. I don't know whether to just say, throw it out the door right now and just say, if you're not going to keep him till the end of the year, when the end of the year comes around, then why even keep him around? Right? Like at the end of the day, it's not going to matter at that point, but I don't know. It's ridiculous. I mean, and when you look at this team and what it did, I mean, Cody, the offense, it was so weird today. Cause like the amount of time the Colts spent more time in Tennessee Titan territory than the Titans did in Colts territory today. And that's crazy that the Titans were in our side of the field less than we were theirs, but yet they still won. I mean, it's incredible because Matt Ryan went 33 of 44 today. So completed pretty much like, ended up completing close to 70% of his passes, but only for 243 yards, threw the ball 44 more times, had one touchdown to 2 interceptions, one of those touchdowns being a pick six, interceptions that he threw. Matt Ryan contributed almost as many points by himself in this game as the Tennessee Titans offense did. I mean, that's sad. That's truly sad that your quarterback gave up almost as many points as the offense for the Titans scored today.
The Titans didn't score a touchdown today, Derek.
No, they didn't.
Like lost in this, the Titans only scored 12 points, all field goals. So the Colts defense, they did their job today. They did their job just like they did a week, the last week they played. They did their job and the offense continues to just screw the team over. Like at this point, it's no question what the issue is. Like it's not even like remotely close. So I want to give a shout out to the defense for, again, keeping the Colts in this game somehow, some way till really the near end when the Colts had that fumble. The Colts were in that game thanks to their defense and only their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so Gus Bradley and these guys, they're playing extremely well. I want to give them props for that. They are playing extremely well, given the circumstances, given the fact that your offense surrendered a touchdown, your defense comes back, and they really shut down Tennessee pretty much this entire game. So just want to give them a shout out, but just the offense not holding their weight, and there's no accountability with this team, Derek, on the offensive side. No, none. No accountability at all. And at the end of the day, like Frank Reich is digging his own grave by saying he's gotten out coached. Just like I've heard that 100 times, dude. Something's got to change.
Yeah. Like, when are you going to get to a point where you're not getting out coached? Like
it's not happening.
Are you going to
we hear it more and more,
or are you just going to keep accepting it whenever you lose? I mean,
yeah, it's like a fine line of accepting responsibility and admitting that you're inferior as a coach. And he's admitting he's inferior as a coach. And we all see it. We're all done with it. Like the Titans, give them credit, Derek. They were beat up. They were down a lot of offensive linemen.
Yes.
They don't really have a lot of talent. The Colts are a more talented team. Let's be honest.
Yes.
We could say from 1 to 53, the Colts are a more talented team. The Titans are much better coached than the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine what Mike Vrabel would do with a Colts team like this?
Yeah.
I really think that they would be, in the division lead and there wouldn't be anybody close.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's to that point. But I don't want to also just not, give Chris Ballard, his fair share of criticism as well, because he definitely deserves some as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about it. Why are we continuing with this quarterback carousel? We've had this conversation all year, Derek. New offense every single year with a new quarterback. It's not helping anybody out there, And I think that cements in my mind and hopefully your mind as well. I think it does. Whatever it takes, I don't care if you have to trade away Jonathan freaking Taylor, and that might get me crucified. If you find your franchise quarterback, I promise you, Colts fans, it is worth it. It is worth it to find your franchise guy, and you're going to have to take some shots. I don't want to trade away Taylor, but if that's what it takes, you do it.
You might have to trade away your next 3 first-round draft picks in order to get them, but I gladly accept that.
Whatever it takes, I do not care anymore. And, we're having this – I asked you a little bit earlier, Derek, off air before we started recording. I'm like, do you think the Colts make a move? Because right now, you have a 20% chance to make the playoffs. Would you rather just kind of start selling some players? I know the Colts are 3-3, so maybe that sounds crazy, but you've won 1 game in the division through five games. Yeah. That's bad. That's very really bad. And so I don't know, man. I'm not there yet, but do you start having that conversation? Because would you rather be really bad and have a better chance of getting a franchise guy, or hover around that 500, that dreaded 500, and then sit there at pick 16 or something? And that really hinders your chance to go get your guy, and you have to continue to Band-Aid it, or you get a lesser prospect. You know what I mean? Things like that. I mean, I think it's seriously worth a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is worth the conversation. I mean, kind of going off of what you said about Ballard, I mean, you're right. The quarterback carousel thing, it's not working. Matt Ryan, while Matt Ryan's had good moments, he's clearly not the quarterback. I mean, he's just not good. He's not playing very well right now. Even in some of the times when the offensive line's not playing well, when the offensive line is giving him time, he still isn't making the plays that's necessary to win us games. I mean, it's a total thing of Ballard putting too much faith in the offensive line. It's not working. They put too much faith in Matt Ryan. It's not working. And the fact that also Danico Autry in this game again crucifying the Colts today. There is just something about Danico Autry every time he plays the Colts. That dude just keeps sacking the quarterback every single game that he plays against us. He becomes a menace in our backfield. And it's like, why did we let him walk again? Why did Ballard let him walk again? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because he was too greedy and didn't want to give him another $1 million a year to pay him when he could clearly be maybe the best defensive lineman on our freaking D-line right now. I could only imagine seeing Danico, DeForest, Grover, and Quiddy on there on the edges. That would be a really great defensive line right now. But no, we wanted to let Danico Autry go. And ever since Danico's went to Tennessee, Danico Autry has been eating it up ever since. And it was one of the biggest blunders of Ballard's tenure here in Indianapolis was letting go of Danico Autry, because Danico Autry kills us every time we play them.
And then just the blind faith. Talk about blunders. The blind faith in your, guys that you kept that had no proven experience at their positions, right? And now you've had to make a shuffle on the offensive line
every week,
right? Every week. Don't have a consistent line. You could have addressed left tackle this year if you really wanted to. You could have gone out there and gotten somebody. You could have done something at least. You could have re-signed either Chris Reed or Mark Glowinski, but you chose not to. You blindly believed in your guys, and now it's coming back to bite you again, and that's on Chris Ballard because he had the opportunity to do this. He continuously lets really good players walk out the door because he gets greedy, and I don't understand that. In favor of guys, that he believes in that are clearly less superior than these guys. So, yeah, he deserves plenty of the blame as well, in this matchup, but all in all, it was just a total team failure outside of the defense. I mean, the kicking, punting, Chase McLaughlin I thought was good again.
Yeah.
Punting, Matt Hawk was horrendous today.
Yeah, it's the first time all season that he just didn't look like the guy that we signed.
Yeah, it's just weird how he just had a terrible game. Like none of his punts were good punts. It was just weird how that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, just really the storyline in this game is the offense's continuation of screwing this team over when it matters. If the Colts had a halfway competent, offense, Derek, I really believe that they would actually have a pretty decent record right now, which is crazy to say because if you had a competent offense in Tennessee the first time, you may have had you might have won that game. Who knows? You're only a touchdown down. In this game, if you had a competent offense, you probably would have won this game. And so many other things like this where you're just like, what the heck? Like, what is going on with this team?
It was funny because Tennessee coming into this game, Cody, had not scored a fourth quarter point all year, which is hilarious when you think about it. That explains probably why Tennessee is where they're at right now with their record, because there were times where they lost games because at the end of games they couldn't score. And ironically enough, it's the same thing for the Colts. In 7 games, have scored 10 points in the first quarter. 10 points.
Wow.
Last season, Cody, I think they said there were only 2 games that Indianapolis did not score on their first drive in the NFL last year. For 2 games where they didn't score on their first drive. This year, they've scored 10 points in the first quarter altogether. I mean, this offense is historically about to be one of the worst, if not the worst offense that Indianapolis has ever seen. I actually think that. I think this is going to go down as the worst offense in franchise history. And the crazy part is that we're supposed to accept that Frank Reich, who was supposed to be this offensive guru, is fixing things. He's not. This offense is far and beyond the worst thing that we have seen in Indianapolis since before the Manning days. Like, that's how bad this offense is. I mean, you could probably argue that this is worse than when Peyton Manning was a rookie, when he threw 28 interceptions that year. I mean, holy cow, we could say how bad this team is right now. And
it's definitely on par with, even that 2011 when the Colts had the first overall pick when Manning was out for the year. Like, it's that bad, guys.
That bad.
The offense
and it's worse.
The difference was that the defense wasn't nearly as good as the Colts defense is now. So the team wasn't winning games, at all. And it's unfortunate because I feel like the defense is going to keep the Colts record relevant while the offense is going to continue to lose them close games like this, games that matter. And that's why it's so frustrating because you're just like, this defense is, good enough to make the playoffs. They are a playoff defense.
Yes.
This offense is a tank offense. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. So yeah, it's pretty rough, man. And then what the heck with the offensive line? Why are you paying all these guys all this money if they can't do their jobs consistently?
I don't know.
I mean, whoever's the next GM, I don't know, man, if Ballard's going to last either at this point because look at all he's invested and it's crumbling around the Colts right now.
Tell me about it. Yeah, Braden Smith's not looked good. Quentin Nelson has not looked great this year. Ryan Kelly obviously has not. I mean, we can kind of go a little further into it. The defense, I want to also give a little bit of a shout out to more of the defensive players. Shout out to freaking Grover Stewart, who had a career high 12 combined tackles today. I mean, holy cow. Grover Stewart just being a beast there in the middle. I mean, it is hard. It's hard enough to stop this rushing attack. I mean, it took Derrick Henry 30 carries in order to hit 128 rushing yards. And it really didn't feel like 128 rushing yards for Derrick Henry. I mean, really, he got the last 28 yards on those last 2 carries of the game where he ended up getting those last 2 runs. But other than that, I mean, again, fantastic work by the Colts defense, really doing a lot of things. I will say this, the one negative I did have on the Colts defense today, why at the end of the game, the Gus Bradley decided we're not going to blitz Ryan Tannehill when Ryan Tannehill was running on one ankle is beyond me. That was extremely weird in my estimation, but at the end of the day, it didn't end up killing this team. I mean, the sad part is, like we said before, Jonathan Taylor had 10 carries in this game. 10. And he averaged 5.8 yards a carry. And then he also caught the ball 7 times today, Cody. He almost caught the ball as many times as he ran it. But Jonathan Taylor had 7 catches for 27 yards. Like, I mean, the thing is they were using him in all the wrong ways. Like, you were using Jonathan Taylor, but you were using him as a default option. And half the time, Matt Ryan was just dumping it to him when he had nowhere else to go. And the Titans read it the right way all game long. I mean, Jonathan Taylor had no chance on any of those routes that he had. They were taking into account that the whole game, and yet Matt Ryan kept throwing it to him for no reason whatsoever. Like, why couldn't – I know people kept saying, oh, he was on a pitch count. He's on a pitch count. No, he wasn't. He touched the ball 17 times in this game. 17. He could have ran the ball all of those. You could have just thrown it to Hines instead of throwing it to Jonathan Taylor on a dump route, which got you on average less than 4 yards per catch. Like, it made no sense.
Nope. Nothing that this offense does makes any sense, Derek. I mean, I've just given up trying to figure out, because it's like every week there's something else that they just do that makes you scratch your head and just like, why? Well, what is the point in that? That makes no logical sense, and they continue to do it again. So at this point, I'm just done trying to figure it out. I think it's about time for a change in this regime because, Derek, I just want to say this, and I tweeted it earlier, and I probably got some flack for it, didn't really care, but what I wanted to say is I'm sick and tired of being numb with this team. I'm sick and tired of not caring if this team loses anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be like that. I want to root for this team to win. But at this point, I don't have any faith that they can.
Yeah.
I'm just sick and tired of every single week not being excited to watch the Colts play.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm tired of it.
We're fans just like everybody else. Like, we want to be excited for this team. And, we muster up as much as we can every Sunday to think that this team has a chance to move forward. But we just don't. You're right. Like, I mean, it's so hard to, continuously do this week in and week out because we cover this team just as much as anyone in the Colts content world. We have to talk about this team every day, and we're trying to, be excited about what this team is doing. But you're right. It's just hard. It's hard every week to cover a team that looks abysmal on one side of the field and it loses because of it. And we're just sitting here like, this isn't our first time.
No. And, I'm just kind of like, it's weird because people think if you criticize the team, you're not a fan. Like, far be it from me from actually criticizing the team and calling out the issues and the crap when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am never going to stop doing that. So for those of you who are saying that crap, you need to check yourself because that is not cool.
Maybe you should just be different kinds of fans.
Like, we want this team every year. We want this team to win the Super Bowl. No question in our mind, we want this team to win the Super Bowl. But if the team is looking bad, if one unit or one, side of the ball is looking terrible, we're going to call it as we see it. And we try to, I think, Derek, we are some of the most optimistic people in the Colts content world. I really think we are. We give this team the benefit of the doubt. And people say, I've heard this argument before. I've heard this criticism. Oh, you guys flip and flop your opinions all the time. Well, maybe if this team wasn't so bipolar, we wouldn't flip and flop our thoughts all the time.
Yeah.
Because the team shows us one thing one week and another thing another week.
Right.
And I'm sick and tired of hearing that because we are just covering what we see. We're trying to be optimistic, but this offense has given us zero reason to be optimistic. No reason to be optimistic. I don't believe in this head coach. I don't believe where this team is going. And I think we have the right to say that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's hilarious because, fans of one kind and fans of another kind always try to tell people how to react. Like, you react how you want to, we'll react how we want to. If it's not how you want to react to it, then fine. I don't care. I mean, that's your opinion. You can't tell me what to do with mine. I can't tell you what to do with yours. But there's only one really good thing about what happened with this offense today. And it's that the fact that about 3 or 4 guys offensively actually did do something today that helped this team move forward. Jonathan Taylor being one of them. Again, criminal underusage of him running the football. I said it before, Cody, I don't know if you saw the pregame at all, but I did say that this team's probably going to have to be a pass-first team over the next few weeks because you haven't been able to run the ball effectively. Now, I said that under the assumption we were not going to run the ball effectively. We're running the football effectively today. Jonathan Taylor was averaging 6 yards a carry. Like, it's weird because, like, you ran the ball 10 times. You're getting 6 yards a carry. That means you're running the ball effectively. Go do it some more. Like, if it starts going slow, then I understand to go back to the original scheme. But the fact that we were being effective but weren't doing it also made me very upset. Jonathan Taylor did what he could do today in limited fashion. Alec Pierce in 4 targets had 3 catches for 37 yards. Hines had 5 targets today, caught all of them for 41 yards. You know, especially late in that game, he helped us move down the field. I can't even give credit to Michael Pittman because Pittman had 6 catches for 58 yards, but he fumbled the ball. He lost us the game there at the very end. The one guy that deserves the most credit of the entire offense is Paris Campbell. Had the most catches of any game in his entire career, had 12 targets today, 10 catches for 70 yards, and scored the only touchdown for Indianapolis. I mean, Cody, it seemed like there was only a few reliable weapons today, and one of them was the most effective one was Paris Campbell again.
The last 2 weeks, Paris Campbell has looked fantastic. With the targets that he's gotten, he's done the most with them. He has done the most with them. And Derek, if he continues to play like this, I think Paris Campbell needs to get re-signed at this point.
Yes.
I think he's earning himself this year. He's proving that he deserves a second contract with Indianapolis, which I love that. You know, I love that Paris is, set in his mind that he is going to prove that his home is going to be in Indianapolis for the next couple of years at least. So, yeah, I want to give him proper credit and just the guys. It's just a bummer we didn't use some of these guys a little bit more in this game. We just kind of went away from some of these guys. But yeah, even though the offense was bad, I don't feel like some of these players, some of these skill position players were bad. I just think they were criminally underused, and the way they were used was just not right. So
it felt weird. Like, what was it the last time? We had, Mo Ali Cox, Jelani Woods, and Kylan Granson combined for like 150 receiving yards the last time we played the Titans. And then this game here, Jelani had 1 catch for 4 yards. Granson had 1 catch for 6 yards, and Mo never caught a pass. Like, literally, Mo Ali Cox has not been used in the offense at all the last 3 weeks, and he's getting paid $8 million a year to do so.
See, that is simply why Frank Reich needs to go. Things that we can clearly see you need to have in your game plan, they just aren't doing. They just aren't doing it. And it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
It's like I said, we make it harder on ourselves when it's obvious what has worked and where the Titans are weak at, and we don't go after it. We don't. We just try these stupid 1-yard passes to Jonathan Taylor, or we try to run the ball on 2nd and long, or whatever, and it's not working. It's just not working. And the offensive line's not protecting. It's all kind of feeding into itself in a way, and it's bad, man. It's really bad from the execution to the play calling.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know your comments, and as always, guys, go Colts. What's going on, everybody? Today, I wanted to talk to you about our sponsor, Betstamp. Now, I know what you're thinking. Derek, another betting app? What is so different about this one now? Well, I got to tell you guys, I'm not into online gambling a whole lot and bets online and everything, but I got to tell you, Betstamp is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in regards to betting online. The great thing about Betstamp is it allows you to see all the different odds from all different sports books and see which one provides you the best odds possible for any game or scenario you want to bet on for your pick versus some of the worst. Betstamp allows you to also buy and sell picks that you have without worrying about losing your money or having any issues with it. Believe me, it's all free. I mean, look at this, guys. You have an option for every game across all different kinds of leagues in a ton of different ways. You have baseball, you have college football, UFC, NBA, and NFL. Great for the NFL season now being here. And if I wanted to bet on this Tennessee Titans versus Buffalo Bills game, it shows me in real time what are the best odds, which sports book I'm going to get the best offer from versus some of the worst ones. Because why would you want to earn less money from PointsBet when you could be winning more from ProLine Plus? Again, a great thing that Betstamp offers you, allowing you to make more money for the same pick just with a different sports book. How easy is that? And the great thing is there's not just games. There's player props. There's game props. There's lines. There's live tracking. There's a ton of great ways to make bets and picks on Betstamp, guys. Totally a cool thing to use. I highly encourage you check it out if you're into any kind of online betting. Even if you're not, give it a check. See what you like about it, because I think I actually enjoy using it. But the best way to get an edge on online sports betting is having multiple accounts at different sports books. Be sure to hit the BetLink page, betstamp.app/onboarding. Be sure to check out the Betstamp app or online, and be sure to use the referral code JUICE, plug in your state, and you'll get access to all their affiliates and their prices once you open it up, seeing all states' lines. Be sure to check this out, guys. You won't want to miss it for the best odds on your next sports bet.